Your biggest enemy is not out there. It's not the economy. It's not your boss. It's not your circumstances. Your biggest enemy is right here, between your ears. It's your uncontrolled mind. Your mind is like a wild horse, powerful, full of potential, but running wild and free. That untamed horse can take you places, sure. But more often than not, it's going to lead you into trouble. It'll run you off cliffs, into thorny bushes, or leave you stranded in the middle of nowhere. That's exactly what an uncontrolled mind does to your life. You see, your mind, when left unchecked, becomes a breeding ground for fear, doubt, and negativity. It creates problems that don't exist, magnifies small issues into insurmountable obstacles, and convinces you that you're not good enough, smart enough, or worthy enough to achieve your dreams. You are not your mind. You are the thinker of the thoughts. You are the rider of that wild horse. And it's high time you took the reins. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. But preacher, my mind is just too strong. I can't control it into that. I say, hogwash, your mind is a tool. And like any tool, it can be mastered with practice and persistence. Let me tell you a story. Back in my day, we had this old radio in our house. We would pick up all sorts of stations, some good, some bad, some just plain noisy. Now, imagine if we just let that radio play whatever came through, day and night. We'd be subjected to a cacophony of sounds, most of which we didn't want to hear. That's what an uncontrolled mind is like. It's tuning into every frequency, fear, anxiety, self-doubt, criticism, and blasting it at full volume. But here's the thing, just like that old radio had a tuning dial, your mind has one too. It's called focus. When you learn to focus your mind, you're essentially turning that dial, tuning out the noise and holding it on the stations that serve you, the stations of positivity, of faith, of possibility. Oh, now, I'm not saying it's easy. Oh, no. Controlling your mind is probably the hardest thing you'll ever do. But it's also the most rewarding. When you master your mind, you master your life. When you control your thoughts, you control your actions. And when you control your actions, you control your destiny. But how do we do it? How do we tame this wild beast between our ears? We need to become aware. Aware of our thoughts. Aware of our mental patterns. Most people go through life on autopilot, letting their minds run the show. They're like passengers in their own lives, being driven around by a crazy, reckless driver, their uncontrolled mind. But you, my friend, you're going to be different. From this day forward, you're going to start paying attention. When a negative thought comes up, don't just accept it. Question it. Is this thought serving me? Is it true? Is it helpful? This awareness is like turning on the lights in a dark room. Suddenly you can see all the clutter, all the mess that's been accumulating in your mind. And once you can see it, you can start to clean it up. But awareness alone isn't enough. You need to cultivate this awareness consistently. It's not a one-time thing. It's a practice, a habit that you need to develop. Start by setting aside a few minutes each day to simply observe your thoughts. Don't judge them. Don't try to change them. Just watch them. You'll be amazed at what you discover. You might find that your mind is constantly worrying about the future, or replaying past mistakes, or criticizing yourself and others. As you become more aware, you'll start to notice patterns. Maybe you always think negatively about yourself in certain situations. Maybe you have a habit of catastrophizing, always imagining the worst possible outcome. These patterns are the roots of your uncontrolled mind. But remember, awareness is just the first step. It's like diagnosing a disease. It's crucial. but it's not the cure. The cure comes with the next steps. We need to practice mindfulness. Now, I know that word might sound a bit new age to some of you, but stick with me. Mindfulness is simply the practice of being present in the moment. It's about focusing on what's happening right now, rather than getting lost in worries about the future or regrets about the past. You can start small. Take a few minutes each day to just sit quietly and focus on your breath. When your mind wanders, and it will, it will gently bring it back to your breath. This simple practice is like lifting weights for your mind. It strengthens your ability to focus and control your thoughts. Now, some of you might be thinking, but preacher, I don't have time to sit around focusing on my breath. I have things to do, and I hear you. Life is busy. But here's the thing, mindfulness doesn't have to be a separate activity. You can practice it while you're doing other things. When you're eating, really taste your food. Feel the texture. Savor the flavors when you're walking. Feel your feet touching the ground. Notice the air on your skin. The sounds around you when you're talking to someone. Really listen. Don't just wait for your turn to speak, but truly hear what they're saying. This kind of mindfulness does two things. First, it trains your mind to focus. And second, it helps you fully experience and appreciate your life. You'll find that when you're truly present, a lot of your worries and negative thoughts just disappear. But mindfulness isn't just about the good times. It's also about being present with difficult emotions and experiences. When you're feeling anxious or angry or sad, don't run from these feelings. Don't try to numb them or push them away. Instead, observe them mindfully. Notice where you feel these emotions in your body. Are your shoulders tense? Is your chest tight? Is your stomach churning? By observing these sensations without judgment, you create a space between yourself and your emotions. You realize that you are not your feelings. You are the awareness that experiences these feelings. This is a powerful realization. It means that no matter what you're feeling, no matter what thoughts are running through your head, there's a part of you that remains calm and undisturbed. Like the deep ocean that remains still even when there's a storm on the surface. We need to fill our minds with positivity. Your mind is like a garden. If you don't actively plant good seeds, weeds will grow. And let me tell you, the weeds of negativity grow fast and they grow strong. So, start your day with positive affirmations. Read uplifting books. Surround yourself with people who inspire you and challenge you to be better. Guard your mind like it's the most precious thing you own, because it is. I'm not talking about some kind of fake positivity where you pretend everything is perfect and nothing bad ever happens. That's not realistic. And it's not helpful. I'm talking about a grounded, authentic positivity. One that acknowledges challenges but believes in your ability to overcome them. Start each day by affirming who you are and what you're capable of. Look in the mirror and say, I am capable, I am worthy, I am strong. It might feel silly at first, but stick with it. Your mind believes what you tell it repeatedly. And be careful about what you feed your mind throughout the day. The information you consume, the conversations you have, the shows you watch, all of these are food for your mind. Are you feeding your mind junk food? Or are you giving it a balanced, nutritious diet? Be particularly mindful of the people you spend time with. You've heard the saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. There's a lot of truth to that. If you're surrounded by negative people who are always complaining and never taking action to improve their lives, guess what? That negativity is going to rub off on you. On the other hand, if you surround yourself with positive, Motivated people who are always growing and pushing themselves. You'll find yourself naturally becoming more positive and motivated too. You can't just passively absorb positivity from others. You need to actively contribute to creating a positive environment. Be the person who lifts others up. Be the one who finds solutions instead of just complaining about problems. When you put positivity out into the world, it comes back to you multiplied. We need to take action. An uncontrolled mind loves inaction. It thrives in the realm of what ifs and if onlys. But action is kryptonite to negative thinking. When you take action, you prove to yourself that you're not a victim of your thoughts. You show your mind who's boss. When your mind tells you you can't do that, you do it anyway. When it says you're not good enough, you go out and improve yourself. Action creates a positive feedback loop. When you take action, you build confidence. When you have more confidence, you're more likely to take action. It's a virtuous cycle that can completely transform your life. You can't wait until you feel ready to take action. If you wait until you feel completely confident and prepared, you'll be waiting forever. The secret is to start before you feel ready. Take that first step, even if it's small. Want to start a business, but your mind is telling you you're not ready. Start small. Do some market research. Write a business plan. Talk to potential customers. Each small action will build your confidence and silence those doubting voices in your head. Scared of public speaking, but need to do it for your career. Start by speaking up more in meetings. Then maybe join a local speaking club. Then volunteer to give a presentation at work. Gradually, you build your skills and your confidence. Remember, courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is feeling the fear and taking action anyway. And every time you do this, you're showing your mind that you're in control, not your fears. Now, I want to address something important here. Some of you might be thinking, but preacher, I have real problems. It's not just in my head, and you're right. Life can be tough. We face real challenges, real obstacles. Your uncontrolled mind will make those problems 10 times worse than they actually are. It will blow them out of proportion. It will paralyze you with fear. It'll convince you that there's no way out. On the other hand, a controlled mind will help you see opportunities in your challenges. It'll give you the courage to face your problems head on. It'll remind you of your strength, your resilience, your ability to overcome. Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. And how you react is determined by your mind. Let me give you an example. Imagine two people who lose their jobs. The first person, with an uncontrolled mind, spirals into despair. I'm a failure, they think. I will never find another job. My life is over. And because they believe these thoughts, they don't even try to find new opportunities. The second person, with a controlled mind, sees things differently. This is a setback, they think. But it's also an opportunity. Maybe I can finally start that business I've been dreaming about. Or maybe I'll find an even better job. And because they believe these thoughts, they take action, they persevere. And more often than not, they succeed. That's the power of a controlled mind. It's not about denying reality or pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing how you interpret and respond to reality. Now, controlling your mind doesn't mean you'll never feel negative emotions. That's not realistic or even desirable. Emotions like fear, anger, and sadness have their place. They can motivate us, protect us, help us empathize with others. The goal isn't to eliminate these emotions. The goal is to not let these emotions control you. To feel the fear but not let it paralyze you. To feel the anger but not let it make you act rashly. To feel the sadness but not let it define you. This is where another powerful tool comes in meditation. Now, I know some of you might be skeptical about meditation. You might think it's some kind of mystical practice that's not for you. But let me tell you, meditation is simply a way to train your mind. Just like you go to the gym to train your body, meditation is how you train your mind. It's how you develop the mental muscles to stay calm in the face of stress. To focus when there are distractions. To make clear decisions when emotions are running high. You don't need any special equipment to meditate. You don't need to sit in a special position or chant any mantras. All you need is a few minutes in a quiet place. Start with just 5 minutes a day. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes and focus on your breath. When your mind wanders, and it will gently bring it back to your breath. That's it. That's meditation. It might seem simple, even boring at first, but stick with it. Over time, you'll start to notice changes. You'll find it easier to focus. You'll be less reactive to stress. You'll have more control over your thoughts and emotions. And here's something else meditation can help with: self-awareness. As you sit quietly observing your thoughts, you'll start to notice patterns. You'll become aware of the stories you tell yourself, the beliefs that shape your perception of the world. Some of these stories and beliefs might be serving you well, but others might be holding you back. They might be limiting your potential, keeping you stuck in patterns that no longer serve you. For example, maybe you have a belief that you're not good with money. Every time you think about your finances, this belief pops up, causing stress and anxiety. But is this belief really true? Or is it just a story you've been telling yourself? When you become aware of these limiting beliefs, you can start to challenge them. You can look for evidence that contradicts them. You can choose to adopt new, more empowering beliefs. This is the power of a controlled mind. It's not just about positive thinking. It's about clear thinking. It's about seeing reality as it truly is, not as your fears or limiting beliefs paint it to be. Now, I know some of you are sitting there thinking, that sounds great, but my mind is just too negative. I've been this way for years. It's too late for me to that. I say balderdash. It's never too late to take control of your mind. Your brain has this amazing ability called neuroplasticity. It can form new neural pathways, new ways of thinking. At any age, you're never too old, too set in your ways, or too far gone to change your mind. And this is but it takes work. It takes consistency. It takes commitment. You can't just decide one day to control your mind and expect it to happen overnight. It's a daily practice, a lifelong journey. You don't brush your teeth once and expect them to stay clean forever. Do you? No, you brush them every day, maybe even multiple times a day. Controlling your mind is the same way. It's a habit you need to cultivate every single day. Start your day by setting your mental agenda. Before you even get out of bed, decide what kind of thoughts you're going to entertain that day. Are you going to focus on problems or solutions? On what you lack or what you have? On your weaknesses or your strengths? Throughout the day, be a gatekeeper for your mind. Don't let every thought that pops up take residence in your head. Evaluate each thought. Is it helping you or hurting you? Is it moving you closer to your goals or further away? And at the end of the day, review. How did you do? Where did you let negative thoughts slip in? How can you do better tomorrow? I'm not saying you'll never have a negative thought again. That's not realistic. Negative thoughts will come. But when you're in control of your mind, you decide whether those thoughts get to stay. It's like this: you can't stop birds from flying over your head, but you can stop them from building a nest in your hair. In the same way, you can't stop negative thoughts from popping up, but you can stop them from taking root in your mind. One powerful technique for dealing with negative thoughts is to practice cognitive reframing. This is a fancy term for looking at situations from a different perspective. For example, let's say you make a mistake at work. Your uncontrolled mind might immediately jump to thoughts like, I'm such an idiot. I'm going to get fired. I'm a failure. But with cognitive reframing, you can choose to look at the situation differently. You might think, mistakes happen to everyone. This is an opportunity to learn and improve. How can I fix this and prevent it from happening again? Do you see the difference? The first set of thoughts leaves you feeling helpless and defeated. The second set empowers you to take action and grow from the experience. This is the power of a controlled mind. It's not about ignoring problems or pretending everything is perfect. It's about approaching challenges with a constructive mindset that allows you to learn, grow, and overcome. Now, some of you might be thinking, but preacher, isn't this just positive thinking? Isn't that unrealistic? And I'm glad you asked, because there's a crucial distinction here. Positive thinking, when misunderstood, can indeed be unrealistic. It's not about putting on rose-colored glasses and pretending everything is wonderful when it's not. That kind of denial can be just as harmful as negative thinking. What we're talking about here is realistic optimism. It's about acknowledging the reality of your situation, including the challenges and difficulties, but choosing to focus on what you can do about it rather than getting stuck in despair. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're facing a major financial setback. Unrealistic positive thinking might say, don't worry, everything will magically work out. That's not helpful. It doesn't acknowledge the reality of your situation or prompt you to take necessary action. Realistic optimism, on the other hand, might say, this is a difficult situation, but I've overcome challenges before. What steps can I take to improve my financial situation? Who can I reach out to for advice or support? This approach acknowledges the reality of the problem while maintaining hope and prompting action. This kind of thinking doesn't come naturally to most of us. Our brains are wired to focus on threats and negativity. It's a survival mechanism left over from our caveman days back then. Being always on the lookout for danger kept us alive. But in today's world, this tendency often does more harm than good. That's why controlling your mind takes practice. It's about rewiring your brain, creating new neural pathways that lead to more constructive thoughts and behaviors. One powerful way to do this is through visualization. Athletes have been using this technique for years to improve their performance. And it can work for you too, in any area of your life. Here's how it works. Let's say you have an important presentation coming up at work. Your uncontrolled mind might be filled with worries. What if I mess up? What if they don't like my ideas? What if I forget what I'm supposed to say? Instead of letting these thoughts run wild, take a few minutes each day to visualize the presentation going well. See yourself standing confidently, speaking clearly and persuasively. Imagine your audience nodding along. Engage with your ideas. Feel the sense of accomplishment as you finish to applause. This isn't magic. Visualization alone won't guarantee success. But what it does is create a mental blueprint for success. It helps your brain believe that success is possible, which in turn affects your actions and behaviors in subtle but powerful ways. You'll find yourself standing a little straighter, speaking a little more confidently, because your brain has already experienced success through your visualizations. This is the power of a controlled mind. It shapes your reality by shaping your expectations and behaviors. But let's be clear, controlling your mind isn't about suppressing negative emotions or pretending they don't exist. Emotions, even negative ones, serve a purpose. They give us important information about our experiences and our needs. The key is to acknowledge these emotions without being controlled by them. It's about developing emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize, understand, and manage your emotions effectively. For instance, Let's say you're feeling angry because a colleague took credit for your work. An uncontrolled mind might lead you to lash out, potentially damaging your professional relationships and reputation. A controlled mind, on the other hand, would acknowledge the anger, understand where it's coming from, and choose a more constructive response. You might think, I'm feeling angry because my work wasn't recognized. That's understandable. But reacting in anger won't solve the problem. What's a more effective way to address this situation? This approach allows you to honor your feelings while choosing actions that serve your best interests. Developing this kind of emotional intelligence is a crucial part of controlling your mind. It's about creating space between stimulus and response, between what happens to you and how you choose to react. In that space lies your power to shape your life. I want to address something that many of you might be grappling with, the voice of your inner critic. You know the one I'm talking about. It's that voice in your head that's always pointing out your flaws, reminding you of your past mistakes, telling you you're not good enough. For many people, this inner critic is the loudest voice in their uncontrolled mind. It's the voice that holds them back from taking risks, from pursuing their dreams, from living fully. But here's the thing about that inner critic. It's not your friend. It's not trying to protect you or keep you safe. More often than not, it's the voice of old fears, outdated beliefs, and unnecessary limitations. Controlling your mind means learning to recognize that inner critic for what it is, just another thought, not an absolute truth. It means developing a kinder, more compassionate inner voice instead of letting your inner critic berate you for a mistake. What if you spoke to yourself the way you'd speak to a good friend? You wouldn't call a friend an idiot for making a mistake. You'd offer encouragement, remind them of their strengths, help them learn from the experience. This self-compassion is not weakness. In fact, research shows that people who practice self-compassion are more resilient, more motivated, and more likely to learn and grow from their experiences. So the next time you hear that inner critic piping up, pause. Take a deep breath, and then consciously choose to respond with kindness and understanding. It might feel awkward at first, but with practice, it becomes more natural. Remember, you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind the thoughts. You have the power to choose which thoughts you give energy to, which ones you believe, and which ones you let go. This brings us to another crucial aspect of controlling your mind: learning to let go. Many of us carry around mental and emotional baggage that no longer serves us. Old grudges, past regrets, outdated beliefs about ourselves and the world. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting or pretending these things didn't happen. It means choosing not to let them control your present and your future. Imagine you're on a journey carrying a heavy backpack. Along the way, you've picked up rocks, some small, some large. These rocks represent your mental and emotional baggage. Now, you could continue carrying all these rocks, but they're weighing you down, making your journey more difficult. You could pause, open up that backpack, and decide which rocks you really need to keep carrying and which ones you can leave behind. This is what controlling your mind allows you to do. It gives you the power to consciously choose what you carry with you and what you leave behind. Maybe you're carrying the rock of a past failure. Every time you think about trying something new, you remember that failure and it holds you back. But what if you could look at that rock differently? What if? Instead of seeing it as a burden, You saw it as a stepping stone, a valuable lesson that has made you wiser and more resilient. Or perhaps you're carrying the rock of someone else's expectations, ideas about who you should be or what you should do with your life that don't align with your true self. Controlling your mind means having the courage to set down that rock, to define success on your own terms. I'm not saying this is easy. Letting go, especially of long-held beliefs or grudges, can be one of the most challenging things we do. But it's also one of the most liberating. When you learn to let go, you free up mental and emotional energy. Energy that you can then invest in the present moment, in your goals, in the people and activities that truly matter to you. This process of letting go is ongoing. It's not something you do once and then you're done. It's a regular practice of examining your thoughts and beliefs, questioning whether they're serving you, and consciously choosing what to hold on to and what to release. And as you practice this, you'll find that your mind becomes clearer, lighter, more focused. You'll be better able to concentrate on what truly matters, rather than being constantly distracted by mental clutter. This clarity of mind is invaluable in today's world. We're constantly bombarded with information, with demands on our attention. An uncontrolled mind gets easily overwhelmed, jumping from one thought to another, one worry to the next. But a controlled mind can focus, it can prioritize, it can tune out the noise and zero in on what's truly important. Think about the most successful people you know or have heard of. I'm not just talking about financial success, but people who are truly fulfilled, who are making a real difference in the world. I guarantee you, these people have learned to control their minds. They've learned to direct their thoughts towards their goals, to maintain focus even in the face of setbacks, to believe in themselves even when others doubt them. This doesn't mean they never have negative thoughts or moments of doubt, but they've developed the mental discipline to not be controlled by these thoughts. They acknowledge them, learn from them if there's a lesson to be learned, and then return their focus to their goals and vision. Now, I want to be clear about something. Controlling your mind doesn't mean you'll never face difficulties or challenges. Life will still have its ups and downs. You'll still face obstacles and setbacks. But when you control your mind, you control how you respond to these challenges. Instead of being knocked down by every setback, you develop resilience. You learn to bounce back stronger. Resilience isn't about being unaffected by difficulties. It's about having the mental and emotional flexibility to adapt to challenges, to learn from them, to keep moving forward even when things are tough. And this resilience is like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets. Each time you face a challenge and overcome it, you build your resilience. You prove to yourself that you're capable of handling difficult situations. This is why controlling your mind is so powerful. It doesn't just make the good times better, it helps you navigate the tough times more effectively. Some of you might be thinking, this all sounds great, but my mind is just too busy. I can't seem to slow down my thoughts, and I hear you. In today's fast-paced world, many of us are living with what I call monkey mind, a mind that's constantly jumping from one thought to another, never settling, always restless. But even the busiest mind can be calmed. Even the most chaotic thoughts can be brought under control. It takes practice. Yes, it takes patience, but it's possible. One powerful technique for calming a busy mind is mindful breathing. This is a simple practice that you can do anywhere, anytime. All it involves is focusing your attention on your breath. Feel the air moving in and out of your body. Notice the rise and fall of your chest or belly as you breathe. When your mind wanders, and it will gently bring your attention back to your breath. This simple practice does two things. First, it gives your mind a focal point, something to concentrate on instead of your swirling thoughts. And second, it activates your body's relaxation response, helping to calm both your mind and body. Start with just a few minutes a day. You might be surprised at how quickly you start to notice a difference. Your mind might still be busy, but you'll have a tool to help you center yourself, to find a moment of calm in the midst of chaos. As you practice controlling your mind, you'll start to notice changes in your life. You might find yourself reacting less and responding more. You might notice that you're better able to focus on your goals, less distracted by doubts or fears. You might find that your relationships improve as you're better able to listen deeply to others, to respond with empathy rather than judgment. You might discover a sense of inner peace that you've never experienced before. But perhaps most importantly, you'll start to recognize your own power. The power to shape your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, and through these, to shape your life. You see, when you control your mind, you're no longer at the mercy of every passing thought or emotion. You're no longer reacting blindly to every situation. Instead, you're choosing your thoughts, choosing your responses, choosing the direction of your life. This is true freedom. Not freedom from challenges or difficulties. Those will always be a part of life. But freedom to choose how you respond to those challenges. Freedom to define yourself rather than letting circumstances or other people define you. And let me tell you, there's no greater power than that. So I challenge you today. Take back control of your mind. Don't let it run wild anymore. Tame it. Train it. Use it to create the life you want. Start small. Set aside a few minutes each day to practice mindfulness. Pay attention to your thoughts. Question your beliefs. Choose empowering perspectives. Be patient with yourself. Remember, you're undoing years, maybe decades of mental habits. It won't happen overnight. But with consistent practice, you will see changes. And as you gain more control over your mind, use that power wisely. Use it not just for your own benefit, but to make a positive difference in the world around you. Use it to spread kindness, to foster understanding, to create positive change. Your uncontrolled mind might be your biggest enemy right now, but your controlled mind can be your greatest ally, your secret weapon, your key to success and fulfillment.